You may not be using the right kind of stretching. Most people don't realize that there are actually several different kinds of stretching, and the ones you should use depends on the reasons why you're stretching. If you want to achieve your stretching goals in the most optimal way, keep watching because I'm going to go over all the different types of stretching and when to use each one. Hi y'all, welcome to my channel, a place for education, discussion, and resources related to moving your body. Just in case you're confused, this channel was called the Yoga Jedi until recently, but I changed the name because while yoga is amazing, I want to talk about all kinds of movement and not just yoga. If you enjoy content about topics like strength training, fitness, dance, yoga, calisthenics, and so much more, definitely subscribe and like the video to appease the algorithm gods. The first type of stretching we're going to talk about is the type that most people probably think about when they think of stretching, which is passive stretching. With this method, your body is held in the stretch by an external force like the wall or gravity or even your hands. For example, to stretch your hamstrings, you can grab your legs and pull them close to your torso rather than just using your quads to flex your hips and hold your legs there. This type of stretching is easily the most thoroughly researched and is almost certainly the most effective in general. If you have specific flexibility goals like the splits or straddle, passive stretching should be the foundation of your stretching routine. It excels at helping you gain flexibility in body areas that have the potential to be very flexible. It can also help heal and lengthen connective tissues over time by bringing blood flow to the area and realigning those connective fibers. Passive stretches can also be deeply relaxing, helping to release tension built up throughout the day and promote better sleep. This type of stretching provides a unique opportunity to connect with your body and its physical sensations, teaching you to work with and surrender to pain and tension. The natural opposite of passive stretching is active stretching, where you use the muscles that normally do a movement to increase your mobility in that movement. For example, if I want to stretch spinal extension, I can do an exercise like cobra lifts, where I use my back muscles to extend my spine. Active stretches are very similar to regular strengthening exercises, but because the goal is increased mobility, active stretching focuses on strength at the very end of the possible range of motion. Active stretching is amazing for addressing muscular imbalances and training for specific skills that require mobility. For example, a lack of external hip rotation mobility on one side can result in asymmetries in your squat form, which can be addressed with an active stretch like the hip airplane. Or you might be working on achieving a deep squat, in which case you might want to work on ankle mobility with an active stretch like resistance band dorsiflexion. Active stretches develop the strength and coordination necessary to actually use the flexibility you develop, which makes them the functional counterpart to passive stretching. There are two ways to stretch actively, either by doing repetitions of a particular movement or holding at the end range of that movement. Doing reps focuses on muscular strength, and this is usually just referred to as active stretching. Holding the stretch focuses more on muscular endurance, and it is more specifically referred to as active static stretching. The next type of stretching is pretty similar to active stretching, and it is dynamic stretching. A lot of sources online don't really distinguish between active stretching and dynamic stretching, but for me, there is a key difference. Both types of stretching use muscular strength, but while active stretching strives to use muscles alone, dynamic stretching also uses momentum to assist the movement. This promotes very natural and functional muscle activation. It also releases a lot of tension and stimulates blood flow, making it a great choice for warm-up stretching before your workout. Since it involves quick, sometimes even explosive movements, dynamic stretching can be very useful for training skills that involve acceleration, like in most sports. One precaution for dynamic stretching is that it does have the potential to overstretch your muscles through sudden extreme movements, especially if the movement is unfamiliar. familiar to you. Make sure to move gently whenever you're first starting a dynamic stretch set, especially if you're not warmed up yet or the stretch is new to you. Another type of stretching that also involves muscular activation is called eccentric loading. Eccentric refers to muscle lengthening, so eccentric loading is a technique designed to provide resistance to a lengthening muscle, forcing it to contract while it lengthens. This is essentially what's happening during the eccentric or with gravity portion of most weighted exercises. Similar to active stretching, eccentric loading has the ability to strengthen your muscles through a particular range of motion. However, it's functionally the opposite of active stretching, since you're actually strengthening the same muscles you're stretching and you're resisting the movement instead of assisting it. This method has been shown in research to be the most effective at actually increasing the length of muscles over time, which increases their strength and their ability to lengthen. Eccentric loading is a great training method for skills where you have to resist muscle lengthening, like deep straddle stance. It's also something that can often get you over a plateau if you've been training a certain area of mobility for a while and you feel like your progress has stalled. Next is PNF stretching, which stands for proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. In this method, the stretching muscle is contracted strongly before being passively stretched, allowing for increased range of motion with less pain. It's not entirely clear scientifically why PNF stretching works, but one theory involves the muscle property of autogenic inhibition, which is when neurons in muscles are inhibited by either stretching or contracting the muscle. You've probably experienced how when you first stretch a muscle, it's very painful, but as you hold it, the pain decreases and the muscle relaxes. The theory postulates that if you contract the muscle for a little while before stretching it, you're encouraging this relaxation before you even start the stretch, so that when you stretch immediately after, you feel less pain and the muscle stretches more easily. PNF stretching can be done in a variety of different protocols, with one or more rounds of muscle contraction and subsequent stretching that can last for various periods of time. When I use PNF stretching, I like to push against the stretch for 5 to 10 seconds and then stretch for at least 30 seconds. If pain or resistance in the muscle comes back, I might repeat the contraction one or more times while stretching. If you're interested in trying this type of stretching, feel free to play around and find what works for you. PNF stretching is a great add-on to passive stretching, as it can make deep, painful stretches more enjoyable and effective. Last is a type of stretching most often done in physical therapy, which is joint capsule stretching. It specifically targets the places where two bones meet to form a joint, creating space in the joint capsule by mobilizing the end of one bone in a specific direction. This method is used so often in physical therapy because of its ability to promote blood flow, relieve inflammation, and increase synovial fluid production, which effectively treats joint injuries and dysfunctions. Joint capsule stretching can help anyone who has developed tightness in the joints specifically, such as from a sedentary lifestyle or an overuse injury. Many of these stretches are most easily done with a partner to help you stretch, but many can also be done on your own, especially with the use of resistance bands. Comment which type of stretching is your go-to, and if you try any new ones, how did it go? I would love to hear your feedback about the video or anything we talked about today. May the gains be with you, and remember that you're actually pretty freaking cool. Bye!